If your hips feel locked up, or if you feel instability during change of direction or moving side to side in sport and day-to-day life, then this video is for you. Today I'm going to talk you through the Cossack squat, one of the best movements to unlock your hips, bulletproof your knees, and move like an athlete. I'll break down what the Cossack squat actually is, I'll walk you through the progressions, and I'll show you the 3 main limitations that show up. And I'll give you some real case studies so you can see exactly how to fix your own issues. All right, let's go. So the Cossack squat is a lateral single leg squat that trains deep hip mobility, frontal plane strength, and rotational control all at once. One hip moves into deep flexion, abduction, and external rotation. So basically you're sitting deep into one side, and the opposite hip stays extended with the leg straight, putting your inner thighs under a long stretch. All right, here's your roadmap. With this roadmap, start where you are, don't skip any steps. So progression 1 would be an elevated Cossack, elevating the bending side using a box or a stack of plates. This reduces depth demand and lets you groove hip abduction and external rotation. This is perfect if you're just starting out or if mobility is really limited for you. You're learning the pattern without forcing range you don't own yet. Once you got this down, progression 2 is a heel elevated Cossack. This helps with dorsiflexion, your ability to get your knees over your toes. If you're someone who, when you do a Cossack, you find your heels lift or you lean forward, you want to elevate the heel with a wedge or a plate. This is going to let you sit deeper whilst keeping proper form. The next progression would be just a full floor Cossack, working on getting the pelvis in line with the knee without rotating the foot. This is where you're going to find a deep adductor stretch. Most people twist the foot too early without even getting that part under wraps. This means you need to focus on that straight leg side, feeling your inner thigh lengthen and then using it to drive back up. Before you add any foot rotation, really try and own this position. Learn to control it. The next progression would then be to add the foot rotation in the end range. And the key here is to only add the rotation after reaching your end range with the foot forwards. The rotation here moves the femur into external rotation and then targets more of a stretch into the hamstrings. This is the full Cossack. The next progression is low Cossack transitions. This is demanding on hip mobility, but also great if you're not wanting to use your pushing strength. You essentially move slowly, side to side at the bottom, trying to stay really low the whole time. This builds endurance and teaches your body to own that deep range. It also looks pretty badass. The final progression is elevating the straight leg. This progression is not necessary for basic mobility needs, but a useful tool for flexibility goals like middle splits and pancakes. For all these progressions, we can progress within them using load and isometric holds. So now let's talk about what actually goes wrong for most people, where you are likely limited and how to fix it. I see the Cossack squat as having 3 main limited areas: ankles, hip strength, and adductors. Let's start with the ankles. The main limitation here is dorsiflexion. This is when your shin can't come forward over your toes properly. This shows up in excess forward leaning, spine rounding, or most commonly the heel lifting. Moritz had his heels lifting off the ground when we first started working together. Every time he tried to sit into the squat, his heel would pop up and he'd lose all control and balance. The fix here was we worked on various dorsiflexion drills, and we obviously used the heel elevated progression to let him build the pattern. After a few weeks, his heel stayed down and his Cossack squat depth doubled. Another client, Tom, would lean forwards in his Cossack. His chest would collapse towards his knee because his ankle couldn't handle the load. And we had the same fix here, worked on loads of dorsiflexion drills, and we spent loads of time isolating that ankle range. Once that opened up, his torso stayed upright and his depth improved immediately. The other less talked about limitation is ankle stability. Miller wasn't able to stay stable laterally. Her ankle would wobble, and that would cause her knee to wobble, and she couldn't trust the position. The fix for her was ankle stability drills like banded iso holds, toe activations, and really re-engaging her foot arch. We built strength and control in her feet and ankles, and that instability disappeared. Now let's talk about the limitation of hip strength for the Cossack. This is when your glutes, especially the glute medius and the small stabilizers, aren't strong enough to control the movement. You'll see the knee collapse inwards or wobble, and a feeling of being very stuck when it comes to finding depth. Kyrie already had great foundations and big muscle strength like a glute max and rectus femoris, but not a lot of strength with the small end range stabilizing muscles. So we worked on abduction strength through things like horse stance hold and end range quad strength through cyclist squats. Once those small muscles kicked in, her Cossack went from shaky to rock solid. Kairu's improvement was pretty next level. All right, the final main limiting factor are the adductors. We need long and strong adductors. These are the inner thigh muscles. They lengthen on the straight leg in the end range, and then you engage them lightly through what we call adduction to come back up. If your adductors are tight and weak, you'll either round your spine to compensate, or you'll have a very small range of motion. Let's come back to Tom, because this was also a huge limitation for him. His inner thighs were locked up. Anytime he tried to push deeper, his torso would collapse. The fix for him was working on opening up his adductors, things like frog stretches, tails and rails in the Cossack position, and butterflies. And then also adductor strength through Copenhagen's. It's still a work in progress for him, but his range has improved massively. And now he can actually sit into this position without his spine fighting him. All right, the next part is about mistakes. Let's assume you don't have the limitations mentioned above. These are mistakes people commonly make when approaching the Cossack. Number one is a Dumpy Cossack. Your spine rounds, ribs dump forward, chest caves in. This is normally when we try to push the range that we're not ready for. The fix is reducing your depth, trying to find a slightly upright posture with a very small hinge forward. The cue I give my clients is sit into the hip, not the spine. Okay, the next mistake is a non-engaged Cossack. This is when you're not activating your hip external rotators and abductors. The fix is to drive the knee out to the side as you go down. The final mistake is the early rotation in the Cossack. Find a good stretch through the adductors, through the inner thigh, before making that rotation. Start with the toes forward and only allow the rotation to happen at the true hip end range. Work through the progressions I gave you, starting where you're at. But remember guys, depth is earned and not forced. It will take time. Try to identify your limitations. Is it your ankles? Is it your hip strength? Is it your adductors? And then you can use the case studies that I showed you to guide your own fix. And if you want more videos like this, full progressions, real client examples, no BS, hit subscribe. I drop new movement breakdowns every single week. Cool, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.